Hi, and welcome back to another Harry's Hobbies video. And I'm working on the Mud Creek models, Chrissy's Cove. And this will be the first building in the model itself, which is, according to the picture, it appears, these are awful small pictures. It's going to be this building here. You see where my finger's kind of moving. This actually is a interesting little building. It's a long building. It looks like it's going to be pretty detailed. So the first step I see, it says here that bracing these walls is not necessary as they are not wood but thick cardstock. Well, when I was going through the model itself, what comes in the package, I did not find this building in cardstock, but I did find it in the laser cut basswood. So that's just a little something in the directions that if you get this kit, be aware of that. Don't go searching and going nuts, thinking that you're going to find it on the cardstock, because now there may be some out there that it is on the cardstock. I don't know, but I know that here's the four pieces that make up this particular building, and these are all basswood. Nicely laser cut, I got to say that. They're very nicely laser cut. So I'm going to be assembling this, and we're going to move down to the corrugated aluminum siding and the roof, which will be interesting because it's got a little raised area right here, and that'll be fun to put together. I'm looking forward to putting that on. Just some, and then nicely detailed. I mean, these are really nicely detailed models. So I'm going to get started. I assemble, this says to use the Aleene's tacky glue or canopy glue, but I prefer to use the super glue. And in this case, on this particular part of the building, I'm going to try to use my super glue, my Gorilla Glue gel, because it just got a little bit slower set time. And the way I go about doing it is I start by putting a little bit on one edge, and I line this up, and this is why I try to use the gel. And then you can see that this sets up pretty quickly, even though it is the gel. I've got that one set up. And then on this one, now the reason I'm doing it this way is so that it'll kind of go together kind of like a little puzzle once the glue gets set up. Well, that's not cooperating at all. So I'm going to take and put the glue on this piece so that it doesn't get absorbed immediately into the basswood where it's laser cut. Yeah, right. I'm glad I caught that. Before I got everything together. Now I've built 2 other Mud Creek kits that are on the YouTube channel. And they are nicely detailed. Why is my glue messing up like that? Shouldn't be. Ah. And they're very nicely detailed. The instructions are clear. And we'll set this right on top. Get it lined up and get it to set up. And since I'm using a super glue, it does set up pretty quick. And I'm going to give this plenty of time to dry, which really won't take too long. And then I'm going to move on to the corrugated aluminum siding. So I hope you enjoyed part 1. Part 2 will be following this. So stay tuned for that. It's coming up next. Hi, welcome back. And I've given the basic framework a chance to dry. And as you can also see, I have painted this black, both inside and out. And there's a reason for that. Number one, that's in case when I put the this aluminum siding on, which that's what I'll be working on here. If there's any spaces in between, you won't be able to see the wood come through. And when I go to weather it out, it'll look a lot nicer if they're just not the bright brownish color showing through. And what the instructions say is to cut these strips halfway, which is fine. I will be doing that. And so we cut, these are pretty long strips, as you can see. So we cut them in half. I've got a nice pair of sharp scissors. And I'll cut this in half. And then we'll cut them. Now when I cut these in half, or start cutting the smaller pieces off, I don't measure, because I don't want them to be uniform pieces going on a building that I'm going to age and weather out. So I just kind of go along and just randomly cut and get some pieces. And this is pretty much one of the easier things to do. is snipping these small pieces. There's one of them done, and here comes another one. As you can see, I'm just kind of randomly cutting and not going with any particular 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 3/4, whatever. I'm just catch as catch can. Now, as far as gluing this goes, once again, I'll be using super glue as a base. And the other thing that I will be doing that you're probably not going to see too much of is I'm actually going to start at the bottom, and I am going to, like here on the corner piece, I'm going to wrap that around the corner, and I'm also going just over the door opening, and I'll also be going over the window opening just slightly, and then I'll trim that back after the glue is dried. And then for this, I'll be using regular thin super glue. As this has a tendency of drying quicker, so that I can move up and down without too many issues. We just take a little bit of the glue, and we're going to start here with that piece that I just cut. I'm going to get it to conform over the edges. And then while that one's drying, I'm going to move on across the way, and I'm going to put another one around the other corner so that it's got a chance to dry. While I get ready to add more pieces. And yes, this bad boy is going to look awful shiny for a little while. But that's expected. That's definitely expected. And then I just kind of go along. And continue to add pieces with the super glue. And from here, like I say in other videos, so I'm not boring you to tears with following this along as I go piece by piece, because it is a little time consuming. And from here, I'll speed the video up, and then I'll catch you on the other side. So now I've got one side covered with the aluminum siding and the Gorilla Glue that I'm using. And what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to let that Gorilla Glue get nicely good and set up, and dry it out. And that's going to take some time to do that because there's quite a bit of glue underneath all this aluminum. And then some of the spots I'll have to come back with some more glue and hold it down. So that's going to take a little bit of time to get all of this on board and ready to continue forward. So I'm not going to go through the other sides because I want to do this one side at a time so that it comes up and it ends up looking relatively nice. It looks kind of like a mess right now, but it'll come together. So stay tuned for that. That's upcoming. And when I start the part 3 of this particular building, you'll see all the aluminum that'll be on board. So stay tuned for that. It's upcoming next. Hi, and welcome to part 3 of the first building in the Chrissy's Cove Mud Creek Models kit. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add the tar paper roof, which is these strips here. Now it says here on the instructions that says we use double-sided tape or transfer tape as the adhesive for the roof material. Makes the job cleaner and faster. You add the reverse gable that came in the small bag. The windows for the reverse gable are glue filled in the holes from the backside. Anyway, so I do things just a little bit different than that, but here's that reverse gable. And as you can see, I've got the aluminum siding on. It has not been weathered, so it's still quite shiny. The weathering will come up. Now I do I don't use double-sided tape, and I do things just a little bit different to attach this to the building itself, and that is I use Elmer's glue. And how I go about doing that, it's really a simple process. I take some of the glue and I run a nice bead right along the edge of the roof, and then I take and I put a little bit onto the piece that I'm going to be using, and you'll see why here in a minute. And then I proceed to get that into place on the roof, and then the glue that I just added to the piece itself on top helps me move the piece and shift it around so that I get it positioned just where I want it. And then I let that set into place, and then I go with another bead, and by this time I've got enough glue on the tip of my finger that I can go ahead. I need a little bit more glue on there. And get this one, and this one is going to kind of butt right up next to that reverse gable that's there, and that's fine. Works out pretty good that way, actually. And then for going along here, needless to say, I don't need the full pieces, so I'm going to snip a few of these, and we'll start with just 2, and then we're going to go up one side till we get to the top of the window. And I do this here again, put another piece, and I overlap them, and the reason I go from bottom to top is to give it the look of the shingles actually being able to repel water. So it's kind of a little forced perspective trick. And then from this point, I'm going to go ahead and speed up the video so I don't bore you to tears with my narration, okay? So, and I'll catch you on the other side. And that's how I go about adding the tar paper roof onto this building. And obviously that'll be the same way that I do it on other buildings as well. And then after this gets nice and dry, I'll let it dry for a few hours, and then I'll go along and I'll just trim up and touch up with a little bit of paint. Now, if you did notice, I don't know if you did or not, probably not, but right here on the inside, trying to let you see that hole that I have cut here, right here? And that's so that right here, after I put the windows in, I'll have an LED on the inside of this building that will help give a glow through the windows here, the front, and the doorway. And it'll just give a nice added effect. And next up, after this gets nice and dry and trimmed up, I'll begin the addition of the windows. But this is going to be it for these 3 steps. This is the first 3 steps in the model, as you can see right here. And you'll see the progression as it goes along. The next step on this particular one is the decking, and that's going to take a little bit of time, as I have to wait for, obviously I have to wait for this to get completely dry. Now the good thing about using the Elmer's glue is it dries clear. I'll be able to add washes and colors over it to give the tar paper roof a more of a weathered look, an aged look, other than the fact that it also holds the tar paper in place. So stay tuned for the upcoming videos in regards to that, and I hope you enjoyed this as much as I enjoyed making it. So once again, thanks for watching. Thank you.